Welcome back to the 13th Destiny with Magnum podcast. And of course, Danielle Long is standing by in San Diego, California, our wonderful, awesome co-host who will be on the air with me here in just a few minutes. She is standing by.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, see, there she is. See, she chimed in. There you go. All right, so she will be with us today. I know everybody has been patiently waiting for the return of Danielle Long, so she is back. And today we're going to have a very interesting talk about fire in the sky and the Travis Walton incident. So that'll be very interesting. It goes along with our paranormal and alien stuff. And Bigfoot goes along with one of our main features of the show. But anyway, as usual, let's go and do our usual shout outs, and then I'm going to give you a couple little paranormal news things. Hopefully you can't hear that. I will apologize if you heard that. I don't think you can, but if we do hear it later, hopefully it won't be a big concern. All right, so anyway, our usual shout-outs to the Holiday Inn University Plaza Hotel at 1021 Wilkerson Trace, Bowling Green, Kentucky. As you know, the company's been doing business with them for over 30 years. Wow, I messed that one up. Been doing business with them for over 20 years. Sorry about that. That's on me. And I did that with the old company. And, of course, the 13th Destiny podcast is also the official doing business with them as well now. And also to our friends down at Oak Grove Racing and Gaming at Oak Grove, Kentucky, near Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and also Clarksville, Tennessee. Go down there and visit them. They're great people, wonderful. The security are some of the nicest people I've ever met. So that's pretty cool. All right. So one of the first things I want to talk about, if the air that I'm running, and I don't know if I want to explain that or not, but we had a little problem being in the studio today, so I'm actually trying to broadcast from the car out here in Kentucky while I get Danielle out there in San Diego. But anyway, I'll just be honest with you, I don't think I'm hearing it now, so I think we're good. But I like to let people know what's going on in the show in case they hear something and go, hey, what is that? Anyway, so this week on the Week in Weird, which is part of the paranormal stuff and things, there is a very interesting article from 419. Well, it's actually an older article, but I did not know this myself, so I came across this earlier. And The Conjuring of Bigfoot, the Forgotten Case File detailing the time Lorraine Warren met Sasquatch in Tennessee. I have seen all those movies. I know about who these people are. And I live not that far from Tennessee, and I had never even heard this myself. So that's a very good one to check out. Check that one out.
Well, tell me the story about it.
You want me to? Oh, now you want me to read the story? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I want to hear because that's really interesting.
Okay. Well. Okay, so it's on that site. It said famed ghost chaser Ed and Lorraine Warren, best known for the terrifying cases involving demonic dolls named Annabelle, and maybe assisting in the Enfield poltergeist case. But there's one strange tale that you won't ever see in the Conjuring films. The time Lorraine met Bigfoot, which I didn't know about this. I had never heard of this. It was announced this morning that Lorraine Warren died peacefully. This is when she died, of course. This is an older article, and I came across it. And anyway, heartfelt thing. So they were talking about that. But anyway, apparently in the book Ghost Hunters, published in 1989, Ed and Lorraine Warren lay out some of their most terrifying cases. Investigation which included the elements like the disappearing Nigerian priest, and I'm sorry I hit the mic, that was on me. And as you go further down in this article, you read about a paranormal investigator. It says it scared the hell out of her. I'd often wondered if it was possessed because and everything. And he came across a Bigfoot in Tennessee, in the Tennessee hills. So that's what it's talking about. Sorry, I'm taking some of the extra stuff out and just putting the main detail. So anyway, on a foggy morning before embarking on a 4-day lecture tour, Ed and Lorraine headed to rural Tennessee in order to meet with a group of frightened hill people. That should be good about our ghost biker friend. Seeking their help with a very strange problem. Something dwelling in the local forest was after their children. Just a day before they'd arrived, one woman claimed that a massive ape-man had crept up to her 2-year-old child and attempted to snatch him by the arm. Lorraine didn't exactly believe the stories, but having never seen poverty this raw, her sense of guilt pushed her to entertain the witness and claim the help to ease the fears. A short time later, she found herself following them into the woods, climbing steep hills, and descending into the gorges in search of the legendary monster. A psychic ghost hunter, it wasn't exactly the kind of investigation she was used to. Hours later, exhausted from hours of hiking and frustrated with what felt like a waste of time before a busy lecture tour, Lorraine took a break near a tree. Suddenly her mind flashed with a mental image of a large creature, a fusion of a man and ape, with long arms and shaggy hair. Its face was like that of a caveman, but its eyes were kind and shone with intelligence. Lorraine knew it was Bigfoot. As she focuses in on the being, she realized that the creature was just 40 feet from her, hiding in the thick bush, and it was in plain sight. Lorraine knew this was Bigfoot, according to her, was telepathically speaking to her in her mind. He was hurt, according to her. The chapter, his hairy, sprawled foot, scabbed with still bleeding blood during his travels that day. He somehow injured his foot. Afterwards, the injury, to keep him from returning to his secret cave, the creature now projected great fear. Bigfoot missed his family and was fearing death or capture by the humans seeking him out. Felt trapped and isolated. He was scared out of his life. Lorraine says, I'm scared out of mine too, to be honest. Lorraine began to send Sasquatch telepathic messages explaining that he had terrified the settlement by attempting to kidnap one of the children, but Bigfoot shook his head, responding that he had only meant to friend with the child. The youngsters don't have the prejudice as adults, he told her. So he felt that he could perhaps explain himself to the child just as he was explaining himself to Lorraine. Eager to help, Lorraine took to shaking with anxiety as she hushed her hiking group, needing to complete concentration in her communication with Bigfoot, whom she felt a maternal love for. As she crept into the bush, projecting images of her vanishing Sasquatch foot, she spoke softly to the beast, hoping to calm Bigfoot enough to approach him. I'm coming to you, she mentally whispered. I will help you. I will be your friend. Suddenly the sounds of a bullhorn rang out, breaking her concentration and sending Bigfoot fleeing into the forest. A member of the hiking group had honked a horn as a joke, startling Lorraine and frightening the Bigfoot. Lorraine's mental images became frantic and she could not reconnect. As it goes on, the rest of this story basically tells also the case file ends with an apparent Sasquatch suicide. It's a sad finale to what's possibly the weirdest Warren investigation on the books, though the state park garbage can monster comes close, but it doesn't end there. It's an intriguing thing about the demonologist Ed Warren chimes to offer his own thoughts on Bigfoot, which are mighty interesting for a ghost hunter of the time period. It's my belief Bigfoot is a mind projection, Ed states. So this Loch Ness monster and many others are mind projected. So that's his take on it. And anyway, so that's basically the overview of the article and the story. I found that to be very fascinating.
Yes, that's interesting.
Especially since we talked about Bigfoot not too long ago, and I came across this, and like I said, I knew a lot of his and her other cases. And of course, I have seen the movies. I think I told you my friend Linda Forbes.
What is the movies?
The Conjuring movies. Yeah, they're based on.
The Conjuring movies.
Yeah, they're based on the real life cases of the two. And also one of the last ones I went with Linda. You know my friend Linda out here. We go to these kind of movies and stuff. And one of the last ones we saw was the one that was based on where they actually got the guy off on the murder and stuff. Well, he didn't get him completely off, but he didn't get charged with murder. I think it was reduced to manslaughter. I'd have to go back and get the exact. I don't want to like butcher that, but they did. But the jury was convinced by them that the demon had actually possessed this person and caused them to do the crime. So yeah, so they're very.
So they think The Conjuring was real?
The Conjuring movies are based on some of the cases. Yeah, they're obviously Hollywood takes liberties, as we all know. They take liberties with all. But that particular one that we saw not too long ago, that Melinda and I went to, actually did show the actual court cases and stuff from the. Yeah, that's the only one that they ever did where they actually got the person off on the actual murder charge. So the murder charge was, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was reduced to like a I don't know, involuntary manslaughter or something like that. But he ended up not serving life or being killed or whatever. So yeah, so it's very interesting that the jury, the evidence was presented to apparently in real life, actually believed they actually came back with the that wasn't that they believed the Warrens. They believed that the investigation that they had done was absolutely 100% on target, and they believed them. So yeah. So that's how the guy didn't end up getting charged with murder. So it was like friend, and it's kind of hard if you look at the case in real life and look at the movie. You got to kind of separate out the Hollywood BS, and we all know it now. It ain't like the old days. We know now. If you say something, it's just like we say inspired by a true story or based on a true story. We know that a lot of crap is thrown in, and further back it wasn't quite that way. You just like, oh, it's just a true story, and like, no, guys, there's like, Hollywood's got to sensationalize stuff. We get that. We're not. I'm not condemning them. They're a business, and when you get right down to it, they got to make money. So if you're gonna have, let's just take for instance something we watched not too long ago, and of course we've talked about it on the thing. It's just like Bieber Buzzer. If you're gonna take certain things out of that, which was very violent anyway, but they're gonna have to make it a certain way to make it sell. So we get it. It's never 100% like real life. So which brings us into, and that's perfect because this brings us into the real life incidents of Travis Walton and the Hollywood version from his book that he wrote, which the Hollywood version is called Fire in the Sky. I believe that's a 1993 film, if I remember correctly, right? That was done in 93. I think that's what it was done. So let's talk a little bit about the Travis Walton incident first. Okay, so the Travis Walton incident was an alleged alien abduction of an American forestry worker named Travis Walton on November the 5th of 1975 in the Apache. I can't even. I knew I was going to run into something where I've got my notes and I can't pronounce it, but Apache Sigrivis. Oh, thank you, Danielle. Yeah, I was trying to get that. Sorry about that, folks. Sometimes I don't want to butcher it. I'm trying to get it right. National Forest. So anyway, near that's Heber, Arizona. I believe that's correct. I believe I do have that one correct. It is widely regarded as a hoax, even by believers of UFOs and alien abductions. However, Walton was employed by future brother-in-law Mike Rogers on a federal contract on October the 20th. Rogers acknowledged in writing that the job had fallen seriously behind schedule and might not be completed by the deadline. That night, according to everything that was said, Walton and Rogers watched the UFO incident movie about the alleged alien abduction of Barney and Betty Hill. After the broadcast, Walton reportedly discussed the possibility of being taken aboard a flying saucer. Now, you can read into whatever you want to read into this, but there's been some evidence to prove that something happened out there, but we'll get to that in a minute. On November the 5th, the crew reported Walton missing. They recall driving back after sunset when Rogers stopped the truck and Walton walked into the forest towards an overhead light. Walton was illuminated by the beam of the light, and Rogers drove away with the others. Police organized search parties that were called off at the beam and in the residence of Travis' mother after 5 days and 6 hours. Walton called his sister from a phone booth several days later. So let's just recap this a little bit. So even the alien enthusiasm and people who tried to say that this was a complete hoax and the National Enquirer did pay them a lot of money for the story. I mean, I think it was like
I think it was only like $5,000.
Yeah, but $5,000 in 1975 compared.
Then was it was a lot.
That was a lot of money in 1970. So you can't compare it to today. I always like to go into comparisons, try to never compare like money of today to money of like say 1975, because $5,000 in 1975 went a hell of a lot further than it did today. I mean, $5,000 goes really fast today. But Travis was just 22 years old, and to me, the details, the details that come out in both the book and even in the movie, even though, like I said, they took liberties with it, it is just so. This person really had no, other than just watching a movie here, he really had no, like, where you could, like, as far as I'm concerned, produce a hoax to this level. So anybody that says it's just a hoax, I kind of have a hard time with that, because they just, and I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, they just are not from the background of people who are known for doing hoaxes. I mean, maybe they did pull it off. Who knows if it was a hoax, but I don't think it was. I think there was something to it. I think, for all you know, there was monitoring. We've come to find out a lot of things that we thought weren't true. We find out that are true later, because we all now know. We know that we have certain people that are in this country that don't tell us the truth. We know that. I'm not even going to name who they are. You can just read between the lines. I don't have to say who they are. We already know who they are. In this, they filed a missing persons investigation. Now, here's the reason I say I don't think it was a hoax. The polygraph examinations, even though they took some liberties in the movie, but if you read up on the questions they were really asking, of course, they really wasn't asking that much about the alien abduction, but they could have. There's probably some stuff that we may never know, because, like I said, certain people hold out things and don't tell you stuff. That's just the way it is. It's just like in any investigation, they don't always tell you everything. But what we do know is, one of the main questions they asked about this was if they had killed Travis, and all honestly reported on the polygraph they hadn't. Now, they could have asked them questions about, and who knows how that went exactly. I don't think that the Hollywood version's 100%. I think you have to read between the lines. You have to kind of look at the book, have kind of the statements that were made, and then you have to come up with your own hypothesis of all this. Anyway, during that, so the missing person investigation was filed the following day on November the 7th, and not too long after that, regional papers covered the story on November the 8th, and that day, a member of the Phoenix-based UFO interest group recorded a 65-minute interview with the crew chief, Mike Rogers, and Travis' older brother, Dwayne Walton, of the group. At no point during the interview did either express any fear or concern for Travis. Rather, they expressed confidence that Travis would be returned. This was one of the reasons that they thought it might be a hoax, is because they were having a hard time with the fact of how they were coming across. So the forestry contracts, however, which is very interesting, included acts of God clause that excused contractors who were delinquent due to unforeseeable circumstance. During the interview, Dwayne revealed that he, Travis, and their mother were UFO buffs also, who had previously discussed that if they were ever in a UFO, they would immediately get directly under the object because the opportunity to go aboard. And now, in the movie Fire in the Sky, I'm not going to give away too much of this, but some of this is known, and the movie's been out for a long time. That's kind of where it went with. Now, who's to say that was a hoax? Who's to say that it just isn't coincidence? And, okay, well, I'm finally getting I've heard so many... Okay, so Danielle and I have talked about this. I've heard so many people talk about, man, if I had my chance to go up in a UFO, I would go, da-da-da. We see it all the time today on Facebook, something that didn't exist back then. You see so many people talking about that. I'm like, it really wasn't that big a deal now I will compare it to now. If you compare to how people talk now, that's a very common thing. So maybe they were just ahead of their time, and then guess what? Oh, I finally got my UFO. And so there's some other evidence and stuff. I will say that Travis was invited to the 2019 International UFO Congress in Phoenix, Arizona. He was a guest. I believe they've changed their tune quite a bit since then. So even some of the people that disbelieved it early on have now started to believe the story over the years. It's certainly got a lot of publicity, and it's in popular culture, obviously. Obviously with the movie Fire in the Sky. And I gotta tell you, for all the UFO movies I've ever seen, Fire in the Sky I think I find it most fascinating because it does include, even though I do say they took some liberties, it does include kind of like the disbelief, oh, this couldn't be possible, kind of, and you're not telling the truth about anything. But I think their polygraph test alone proved that they were telling the truth about something. So anyway.
Yeah, but they said the polygraph test didn't ask the right things.
That's what
they were more concerned at the time about the murders.
Yeah.
Like if he was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So it really didn't ask a bunch of questions whether they were telling the truth or if it was a hoax.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, they all passed it great. I was more like complete believer until I started looking it up, and they do have some points where it did take it after God, and their contract, he wasn't going to make it. He wasn't going to clear the woods in time, and that would have cost him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And just things that, okay, so the case itself, it just is not, it's very unusual case.
It is a very unusual case. I'll give you that.
He was taken for 5 days. 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
5 days. So that's very unusual. That's not your usual alien UFO abduction case where you just disappear. People think you're gone or dead or something for 5 days.
Here's the only problem. Yeah.
Out of all those, it's extremely rare. Now they said that they could have that the two main characters, Travis and his good friend, could have put on the hoax to the other people in their group, which would have made the other people in their group think, yeah, it was real, because they said there was a searchlight.
Mm-hmm.
One of those big bright lights that they could have shone down, down into the tree.
All right.
Like,
well,
and that it made it look like it was an abduction.
Yeah.
And Travis slept in the truck all day that day, and then his friend, what is his name? The other guy that was his really good friend.
Yeah, Mike Rogers.
Mike Rogers. Yeah, he left that day for a couple hours and then came back. It's just
yeah,
the pressure that was on them.
That's true.
And
it just seems like
the money part.
Well, oh yeah, I mean, I get the money part.
The way that they and the way that they did all that, I don't. It's very possible this one was hoaxed, but I believe he sounds so sincere. I even saw a documentary or so on him, and this Travis guy seemed so sincere, and so I was really believing it until I got some of the background.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my.
Right. And like I said, I kind of believe it. That same thing, it can go either way. So, I mean, the reason that I'm saying is, like, now there's people saying, like, that are the UFO people and everything. They have been, they're inviting him to stuff, and they're believing it now. But then again, like I said, it could go either way. With the evidence could kind of point either way. And one of the other things is that it wasn't until the 1980s that reports of alien abduction became more widespread. And maybe it goes back to some of, this stuff with Travis and stuff, hoaxed or not. Like you said, he does come across as very sincere. And I don't, as far as I know, you said you watched documentary. I didn't find anything that he has ever wavered or changed his story. Correct? Is that correct or not?
No, but Mike did.
Mike
did.
Said
something like. Michael did. He said something like, maybe it wasn't true, or wait, something about a hoax. Did you get that part?
No, I did not get that part. I did not see that part. Hold on a minute. Oh, okay. Okay, so Rogers has issued a statement retracting his confession. Okay.
We can go to the dispute here. I can read. In 2021, Mike Rogers posted a statement to his Facebook page announcing, "I, Michael H. Rogers, being of sound mind and rational mind, do hereby give notice that I am no longer to be considered a witness to Travis C. Walton's supposed abduction of November 5th, 1975. He later clarified, Travis tried to keep a new remake of the movie a secret from me. He has always had a big secret, always had big secrets that he kept from me. It angered me. I tried over the last 2 weeks to reason with him, but to no avail. I don't believe Travis is an honest person, and therefore I want nothing to do with him." On April 30th, Rogers placed a call to producer Ryan Gordon, who was working on the film about the Walton incident. Gordon recorded the call without Rogers' knowledge and permitted by Arizona, and it's permitted by Arizona law.
It is in Kentucky. It is
on July 4th.
Yeah.
Huh?
I say yes. Some states are different. Yeah.
2 months later, on July 4th, Gordon publicly posted audio from the call, which, and this is what he said: "We were talking in the woods one day. We were talking about creating a UFO hoax, okay? I don't know how the UFO got there, but I remember when I was driving the truck and he jumped out, it was all deliberate. It was all stage thing, okay? He ran up there, and there was something about the UFO not being real. Although it looked real, Rogers and Walton later reconciled, and Rogers issued a statement retracting his confession."
Wow. So, wow. So they've just gone back and forth then. From those couple of paragraphs. What the hell? That makes no sense. 1 minute you say yeah, 1 minute you say no, and then you say yeah. Well, that makes it even weirder. So that was in 2020. Okay, so that was in 2021.
That was in 2021.
Okay, and Travis was at the UFO thing in Arizona, invited in 2019. So that happened after he was being invited, and people were starting to believe. So now we've gone back another direction. Wow. So this show's going to be.
But also, they said his mother and his family was like.
Yeah.
They didn't even, their reaction to the whole thing. I forgot what he told his mother. "If I'm ever abducted by a UFO, don't worry about me." He said something like that before.
Yeah, and apparently they were into UFOs.
Yeah. And then
and they were all.
And so when they asked her about it, they're like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh, don't worry," or something. "He'll be found," or it was just like they weren't that worried. I would have been out of my mind.
Because apparently they were both UFO buffs and pranksters, according to all evidence, right, that is out there. Although the movie's a really good movie. I will say the movie's a good movie. I mean,
I really liked the movie, and I really believed until I started looking at all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh my. And what I do know, he says that isn't quite true in the movie is when the abduction and he's in there, where they're dragging him. I think, are they dragging him by his feet through all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy and kind of scary in the movie. It's a
Oh yeah,
really
the movie.
good movie.
The movie is quite. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
Only in that part with the aliens, I think, when they
Yeah,
threw it
because
in there.
they took his statement, the Hollywood people did, and definitely made it even more so than even. I mean, the statement in itself was bad enough, but Hollywood just had put that that little flair on there too. So the tabloid, the National Enquirer, misrepresented the polygraph results as well. Did you know about that? That they misrepresented the polygraph exams and all that? That the National Enquirer themselves did when they when they paid them off and they wrote the stories, which I think is interesting. The polygraph examiner who reported the witnesses as being truthful, it omitted all mention of Walton's prior polygraph exam, who concluded that Walton was being grossly deceptive, and that's what the. So they further note that while law enforcement conducted polygraph examination of the crew during the missing persons investigation into Walton's disappearance, the objective of the investigation was to determine whether the crew had killed Walton, not investigate the UFOs. Thus, they asked only 4 questions: 3 about violence against Walton, and 1 asking about an unusual object that was observed. Science writer and skeptic Michael Schimmer opened, "I think the polygraph is not determiner of truth. I think Travis was not abducted by aliens in both cases. The power of the deception and the self-deception is all we need to understand what really happened in 1975. So when he's returning, which I'm going to explain this as a investigator, what he's referring to as self-deception is that he has decepted himself so far into this that a polygraph probably is not going to be the best thing. That's one of the reasons they're not admissible in evidence in a court of law most times. Most times polygraphs are just used to get to an end point to try to get something in an investigation. And people who have never dealt with that directly or never really studied that further, they have no clue about that. I mean, you've heard, well, why is it not admissible? It's supposed to be a lie detector test. It's technically not a lie detector test. A lot of people say it's a lie detector test. It's not real. It just basically measures change. And by the way, I've done some more polygraph stuff when I was with one of the security companies I worked with in Athens, Georgia. Anyway, it just kind of measures like pressures, changes, stuff like that. There is to this day, whether it's the training you have to supposedly tell when someone's telling a lie, or the alleged lie detector, none of them are 100%. It's impossible because, like what he's referring to there is self-deception. Someone has self-decepted themselves so much, it's so deep, that they literally believe the lie, and there's no way you're going to get, unless you just find a way to force it out on them, basically, which is illegal by police, obviously. Not saying that I wouldn't say, I'm just saying. I mean, we know that over the period of time and years, things have changed, laws have changed, because a lot of things got done because people were trying to get a confession, and we also know that under distress, that's not real good either, because you're liable to say anything. That's why torture is not a good thing. Sometimes people, I'm just letting you know. But anyway, not that I was bringing that up, that part. I'm just saying the polygraphs they're not really lie detector tests. That's just what that's what the lay people call them. They're a polygraph machine, and they measure changes in body stuff. I mean, if you truly believe something and it's not true, you truly believe it, and that polygraph test may not come up that you're being deceptive at all according to the polygraph test. But the reason they're used sometimes or is in an investigation is just trying to get. So in this case, what they were concerned about, the law enforcement was concerned about, was they were concerned about whether or not Travis had been murdered. They wasn't really getting it, like you said, they really wasn't getting into all this other UFO and all this stuff that was being, thrown out there. They believed that he had been murdered. And that is like the first thought in law enforcement. If someone has disappeared and these people are telling some wild story to try to cover it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a UFO story. It could be another kind of wild story that they're trying to cover something up. We've seen it many, many times, in investigations. And, and that's why a lot of times investigations take so long. People are like, why do things take so long to investigate? Well, this is one of the reasons. Because in this situation, you have such a wild story out there, And it's like these people who are being asked the questions to start with are being asked only about a murder. Travis Walton is being asked basically about, and then they'll get to that. But he's so into the story, he has so deceived himself. And like I said, I believe some of this, but then again, with some of this evidence,
they thought he was being deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
Travis.
Yeah, I know.
Himself.
Yeah, I know.
So, and then, the other thing also is, they usually take. There's a fire lookout that I was trying to.
The lookout tower. Uh huh.
Yeah, and they said that they usually always took another route back, but that night they totally took that different route all of a sudden, and they're like a little bit wondering why, and then not far from the fire lookout, where they have that big light, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where they stopped.
Right.
And then all that happened, and then they took off. And then when they went back to get him, he drove to a different place.
Exactly.
So that doesn't even make sense, right?
Right. Well, let me tell you what's going on right now. I'm going to interrupt the show for just a minute. I don't know what these people are doing. There's like crews out here working for the State Department. Wow, easier. Highway Department, and some other crews. And for some reason, they're stopped up here at the gate with the ranch. Is that I don't know if they're wanting to do a power check or what, but I don't know if they're going to. I've got the gates locked. I don't know if they're going to try to come in here. So I just thought I'd let you know in case we get interrupted. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Okay, it looks like they're just turning around. I was concerned whether or not, I think they may just be checking, because we did have a tornado come through here the night Danielle's aware of. I'll let y'all know about it. It did get close to my cabin here where I'm at. It shook my cabin, as a matter of fact. So, yeah. Sorry about that, Danielle. I wasn't sure if they were going to try to come in here or motion me to come up there and see them. So I guess we got a little interesting, little different footage on the footage. See, I can't get out of my film days. A little different on the audio for the podcast today. But anyway, let's go back to the story. It was funny that we were talking about the watchtower and all that stuff, and these people show up. Crews working on clearing the. That's what they're doing right here. They're working clearing on from the tornado damage. That's pretty funny.
Tell them about the tornado. What happened?
Oh yeah, we had a tornado.
What happened there in Kentucky?
Yeah, we had a tornado come through here in Kentucky that night. It didn't touch down all the way on the ground here in the Bowling Green, Warren County area, like the one we had a couple of years back that killed a lot of people here in Kentucky. We did lose 4 people statewide on this one. But we had just a lot of tree damage here. Trees over the road, trees hit some houses, trees did some damage. I saw a couple of cars today were in town on the side of this west side where I live, on the west side of the town, the west side of the county, which I'm more kind of the northwest once they get out here. But anyway, I did see a couple of cars, and I was wondering why they were clearing this out, and then I realized, so the cars got hit by the trees. I guess the trees came down because I couldn't see this for the last couple of days, but I could see it today. But that was really wild. I was like, but no one here was killed, which is good. But yeah, the tornado came through. Whoa, hello! I got a bumblebee trying to say hello right now. Hello.
Oh dear.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, it gets to be one thing after another out here in the wild blue yonder wild blue yonder. I'm going to the Air Force kind of stuff now. Yeah, but anyway, the work crews are going down in front of me right now, trying to get the road all clear. It's a state highway that I live on, even though I live in the country and have the studio out here. Anyway, the other night when it was coming through, it shook the cabin quite well. And what got me was it literally happened after the tornado sirens went off within just a couple minutes. I mean, this thing was moving. When it come through here, because it took some trees out quick. We had a little damage on the ranch, but nothing serious. I know one thing. I'm pretty fearless, but I went ahead and got under the futon mattress and got on. I will tell you that. I was like,
You didn't tell me that. You said you were just fine.
Oh no! I told you about putting the mattress and stuff over me.
Oh, you did. didn't.
I'm sorry. Maybe I was just not wanting you to worry, but yeah.
You told me, you acted like, oh, I didn't do anything. That's what you told me because,
Well, technically, I didn't do anything other than that.
But you did under a mattress.
Okay, under the futon mattress onto the cot mattress that's in the cabin, and yes, I was like gonna say, okay, we're gonna ride it out. I might go for a ride to Kansas with the way this thing.
And then now you told me different.
I didn't want you to worry. Okay, that's the only reason I didn't say anything but that part. I was like, yeah. I mean, it wasn't that big of an omission. Come on now. Now she's gonna put me under a polygraph over here now. See, folks. See how she's doing. See how she's doing me. We're doing the show and she's relating this to how this is gonna go. So see, I got the crews over here working, doing the chainsawing and stuff thing, that's related to the story and the movie, but and then she's got to go with the whole related to the polygraph, saying you didn't tell me everything. Hey, but it worked out. It kind of worked into the show, and we were not planning that at all. I'll assure you, because you could tell in her voice that she did not know anything about that. Anyway. So yeah, let's go back to that. Speaking of that, the lookout tower. I agree. I do agree. Now, even though I said I did believe part of this, the more evidence it can go. Like I said, a lot of it could go either way. Whether or not. And there is a spotlight. I believe there is a spotlight up there. Correct? On that lookout tower.
Yes. That's what they said.
But now that would have only been the beam of light, right? That got on him, and so who was on the question is on this hoax, and who was on the watchtower? If that's how that went down, because all these people, was there somebody else involved? Because all these people knew.
Well, possibly. Their whole family wasn't even worried about it.
Well, so were some of them out there? Because no one's ever brought that up,
Right. No one, yeah. Who was at the tower? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, who was at the tower? Now, there's one other possibility that if you want to talk about it being a hoax, or did they know a certain time that that light was shined out there like that, and the other people in the crew didn't know that? There's a possibility.
Right. Well, they let, yes, because he left after. Okay, so even the time he left is they usually stop at 2 or something. I don't know, and they left late. Maybe they stopped at 4. They left later that night.
Right.
And they took a totally different route by that tower. And then when then they saw the light, and then he stopped the truck not far from that tower.
Right. And from that tower, even in that time, at that time, someone couldn't have seen someone in the tower, but someone from the tower could have definitely seen where they needed to spot the light. There's no doubt, because I've been in watchtowers before. You got a damn good view, even if it's towards dark, even without the light. You can see a lot of stuff from one of them. And a lot of range. That's why they're put out there for fire and stuff, because that's why the Forest Service uses them, because the range and the rangers and stuff like that. They use these places because they can see a long distance, and they can see a fire. They can see a small fire from a long distance, and the plan on that is most of the time the reason they're there is to try to prevent it from becoming a big fire. So you do have these people checking these on a regular basis. So yeah, that is very possible, and I can assure you that the couple that I've been in my lifetime, you want to talk about some distance? You can see some distance from them. It's amazing how much you can see from one of those. And if you have any kind of spotting device, like a spotting scope, binoculars, anything, you're gonna home in on even more. So you could literally. So I say I can even present how you could do the hoax right here. You could go up there. They're coming. About approximately a certain time. I think in the movie, if we remember correct from the movie, he was kind of out there for a bit, and they kept trying to get him back. So it may have been that he knew that they were trying to like see exactly where he was at to shine the light. That's possible too. If we're gonna go with this being just a hoax, and if it is a hoax, it's one of the best ones. It's one of the best ones. Got to give him credit for that.
It's good, but the more if you start adding everything up, it sounds more and more like a hoax. The money, he needed an active broad to get out of his, contract, and then when the late, going a different route.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes on
right.
and on and on.
Yeah, and Hollywood, and let's right, and let's talk.
Remember the stuff he said. He said on the phone he didn't know he was being recorded, and he was saying that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very. And then he tries to retract it. Oh, they're doing a movie now. Maybe he'll get some money, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's Rogers. That's Rogers now trying. Right, that's Rogers now trying to retract it. But here's the thing. Remember, there was some money involved here, and he was saying that Travis wasn't telling him anything about the new movie and was keeping secrets. Well, when that comes up in any kind of movie or anything or book and there's money going to be involved. This has happened with some other people that I'm aware of in entertainment. They literally, if one person's being kept out, they'll get mad and they'll say, well, that never happened, da 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 da. And then when he thinks he might get, now he's going to retract because it's like, oh, well, that was a big mistake because I remember, okay, we got a bunch of money off this first deal, but I just screwed up, but now they got this, and I need to try to retract that. So, but the problem is trying to retract something after you've done that is going to be very hard to do. But we see this in entertainment all the time, though. Where someone was involved in some, and they didn't get their share of what they were supposed to, or they're being excluded from a new project, like we were talking about. That's the new project he was basically trying to exclude him out of for some reason. Is he still married to his sister, by the way? Or do we know? Because he's still married to his sister. That makes it even more funny about that part, because I'm like...
Yes, because Michael isn't married anymore, but I think Travis is.
So Travis is still married to Roger's sister.
I think so.
Okay, that's what I think. I didn't see anything about any divorces or anything like that with Travis.
And they had kids, yeah.
So that makes it even more interesting. So this is your ex-brother-in-law. No, I'm sorry. I said this is still your brother-in-law. I'm sorry, I got that screwed up. Anyway, and for some strange reason, your wife, who's just, you guys are not including him in it. I'd say there's a lot more to that part of the story that we're never going to know just yet right now. So that's a 50-50 on what he wants to do on that one, because that's a domestic thing. There could be lots of reasons going on with that stuff, and that would probably take, I don't know, weeks to talk about. If we knew anything about it, probably not going to know anything about it. But I just kind of read between the lines on stuff like that. Like I said, I go back to our stuff that we worked in entertainment, where people have been excluded for something on a new project because, you screwed all this stuff up on the first project, and you caused us not to get as much money, and I'm going to get as much money as I can out of this, and you're not going to get a part of this time. And this is all, I can see where that's going in that aspect. It's like something we're not going to talk about it on the air, but